Leinster now with one of their worst starts to the season ever, 1 from 4, and to put out a performance like that on Derby Day, not good at all. Does something need to change? Is it just the second year syndrome, so to speak, after winning the competition last year? Leinster fans, what do you guys think? Taking nothing away from Munster. They came out to Croke Park away from home, determined, hungry, clinical, a defensive effort for the ages, a proper play for each other type effort performance here. They were outstanding, and a defensive effort like no other. Listen to some of these stats quickly. Tyg Byrne, 15 tackles. Jack O'Donoghue, 19 tackles. Fanine Wachirley, I hope that's how you say it, the lock, 20 tackles. John Ryan, the prop, 18 tackles. Michael Milne, the prop, another prop, 14 tackles. And in the backs, Dan Kelly, 19 tackles. Jack Crowley, 18 tackles. We talk about a collective defensive effort. That's it. When you talk about Derby Day, efforts on efforts on efforts, getting up, going again, that's it there. That's defense, for me, has always been a personal thing. It's something you take personally. You're either going to miss a tackle or you're going to make the tackle. And collectively, this Munster team on the defensive side of things took it personally and manned up in this game. Huge effort for them, and out and out the deserved winners of this game. 31-14 away from home. Outstanding. I also think that the Irish 10 debate is settled. Crowley puts in a man of the match performance on Derby Day, away from home, backs against the wall type stuff, and he was sensational. Stood up when it mattered, kicked his goals, made the right decisions. You could see him on the field just barking orders and really just took control of this game. He was 1 try assist, 8 carries, 4 defenders beaten, 18 tackles. 18 tackles for a fly-off. That just shows what Leinster were trying to do, obviously running his channel, but it just shows what Crowley's made of. To stand up and make 18 tackles, let's be honest, Sam Prendergast is not doing that. I'm one of the biggest Sam Prendergast fans. Sam Prendergast is not doing that. 18 tackles, that's more in one game than I made throughout 20 years of playing rugby. That is wild. On the other end, Sam Prendergast was 2 points, 9 carries, 3 defenders beaten, 5 tackles, 2 turnovers conceded. And while a fly-off can only play as good or as well as his forward pack allows him to, Sam Prendergast really struggled in this game, and Jack Crowley really stood up in this game. I think the maturity really showed in this one on Crowley's side of things. Cool, calm, collective in those big matches, in the big situations. Calls for a big-time player or big game player that can be cool, calm, and collected, and when is needed, can pull the trigger and play those big plays, make those big passes, or taking the right options, kicking well off the tee or kicking well out of hand. And while Munster only had 37 possession, right, in the whole game and 42% territory, which means that even under the pump, Jack Crowley knew how to turn things around or knew how to create opportunities when there weren't many, knew how to capitalize on those opportunities and to steer his team around to be able to do that. They didn't have a lot of ball. They didn't have a lot of opportunities. But when they got the ball, when they were in the right areas of the field, they capitalized. They turned it into points. He either kicked his goals or the chip over the top. He created stuff from nothing. Yes, that was freakish talent or freakish bit of ability there from Tom Farrell to tap that on, collect it, and score again. But you're looking at Jack Crowley. Usually when a team plays well, you look at the fly-off. And when a team plays badly, you look at the fly-off as well. That just goes with the position. You're either the man on the day or you're at the back end of guys like me telling you didn't play well. Pundits and everyone else, fans and everyone else. You can take the glory when you have a good day, but you're going to have to take the criticism when it isn't your day. And again, Leinster's forward pack didn't allow Sam Prendergast to do his thing. There was a lot of opportunities for them. But on the other hand, Crowley really stood up in this game. There wasn't many opportunities for them, but he capitalized on it. He was able to ride those waves of momentum throughout the game. And when needed, he stood up and executed. Outstanding performance. And for me, he's the Irish 10 at the moment. I've never believed in the whole story that Leinster are favoured when it comes to Ireland selections or Irish selections. I mean, in this current squad, they are definitely favoured. There's over 20 players from Leinster in the squad. There's some question marks there, especially after this weekend. But if Prendergast gets selected at 10 over Crowley after this performance, then there definitely is some sort of behind-the-scenes favour for Leinster players, because you can't watch this game and say Prendergast is the Irish 10. No ways. Jack Crowley is the 10 for Ireland. So just touching onto the game, Leinster started well. They were first to score. That was the only time they led throughout the game. Pressure, got onto the right areas of the field, set the maul really well. Callagher scores off the back of it. And you look, this is the first 5-6 minutes. You're looking at that and you're going, it's going to be a long day for Munster. Leinster are on here. But how wrong could you have been if you thought that? I think everyone would have thought that, to be honest, at the start of that game or in those first 5-6 minutes. But man, Leinster, I think, and what to sum this performance from Leinster up is, for me, wrong game plan to start with. You're not going to bash through this Munster side. This Munster side stood up defensively. While you had lots of opportunities, you couldn't turn that into points. So went in with the wrong game plan, I think, but then couldn't adapt. Where are your experienced players? When you see that game plan A is not working, surely you bring up game plan B or C. Where are the experienced players within Leinster to realise that and let's say, hey, bring everyone in, let's change this. This isn't working. We need to do this now instead. And they've got a lot of experienced players in that team. You look at them and then you look at the fly-off. You have to look at the fly-off. You see something isn't working, how are you not changing it? If A isn't working, let's try B or let's try C. Surely. And it's just me that thinks that. Surely, again, I'm sitting here, I wasn't on the field. It's easier to say after the fact as well. But that's what separates the good from the bad, or the good from the great, is when you're under the pump, when you're up against it, realize that this isn't working, let's try something else. And I don't think Leinster firstly realized that, and then they did not change how they were going about it, because it just the result speaks for itself. Leinster fans, what needs to change? What are your guys' thoughts on it? Over to Munster, what a game. Proper balls to the walls type stuff, playing for each other to prove something type performance this. Outstanding. Absorbed the pressure early on. They turned that around. When they got opportunities, they scored. Like I said, they didn't have many. They didn't have much of the possession or territory. That was all in Leinster's favour. But Munster, that's a gritty performance this. Gleeson got their first try off the back of pressure and just being physical when it mattered. And then let's talk about Tom Farrell's try quickly. Wow, can we have a minute for that? That was unreal. The perfectly weighted chip from Jack Crowley. Tom Farrell goes to these 3 defenders coming towards the ball. Little tap on, collects it, goes under the post untouched. That was sensational. I can't remember. I don't think he's in the Irish squad, because the centres would be like Ringrose, Henshaw, Archie, Kieran Frawley's probably covering centre as well. McCloskey's there as well. Farrell, after this performance, surely any injuries, he gets a call up there. He was sensational throughout the game. A ton of carries, and really strong in that midfield. Him and Dan Kelly together, that's a lovely little partnership. They're obviously keeping Nankerville out because he's been really good for Munster as well. But really, really good. I do think Coughlin's, I think that's how you say it, the 9, Coughlin, his intercept right before halftime, that sealed the deal for me. That blew the wind out of Leinster's sails. That just, championship minutes, 10 minutes either side of halftime. Leinster were pushing. They weren't going anywhere quickly. They were just slowly working their way down that end of the field, working towards Munster. I think they were only at the 22-metre line, but they had the possession and they had the territory on the field as well. And Coughlin reads that like an absolute book, picking off one of Jamison Gibson-Parks' passes and goes 60, 70 metres to score right before halftime. It changed the whole game. It was 14-7 then. This makes it 21-7 going into halftime. Both coaches' team talks change. Both the outlook on the game changes. And yes, while Leinster have come back from big defeats like that, or big margins like that, in a Derby Day match with Munster's tails up, that's a tough ask, man. And that was a massive play from Coughlin. The penalty try on Crowley. So my understanding of it is, and it's just like split-second decisions, is a tackle was made. So the ball carrier, his knees were on the ground, a tackler was holding on to him, so the tackle is made. Therefore, anyone entering, it's now a ruck, anyone entering there has to come in from the back. And Kieran Frawley's just dived in from the side and stopped a try. It was definitely going to be a try. So that's my understanding of that yellow card. The split second, when I first saw it, I was like, there's no ways. When slowly played it back, and I think the ref mentioned it, that makes sense. By the letter of the law, it's a tough decision, but by the letter of the law, that's what us fans want. You want X, Y, and Z. It's black or white. And by the letter of the law, that was the correct decision. Tough. And then I got to say, Gavin Coombs getting the yellow card and jogging off, smiling and fist pumping. That was unreal. I love that. That is all time. I love that. Away from home, you've just beaten Leinster, Derby Day. You haven't been selected in the Irish squad. That's what that is. Love that from Coombs. Not Leinster's day, but full credit to Munster. They were unreal. Fully deserved winners of this game. What did you guys think of it? Irish fans, Leinster fans, Munster fans, let me know in the comments. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time. Bye.